Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I'm going to do my N.E.W.T.s TBR. Now the N.E.W.T.s are part of the magical Readathon, which takes place twice a year. It's hosted by G from Book Roast, and it's based around the exams that the characters take in Harry Potter. So we did our owls in April, and we are now doing our N.E.W.T.s in August. And I'll link her kind of announcement video down below so you can check it out if you are interested. So in April, I failed my owls. I didn't read a single thing from my flippin' TBR that I pulled together. As soon as April started, I just got smacked in the face by the worst reading slump I've been in years, I think. And there's a lot of reasons for that are not particularly important right now, but it means that I failed my owls, and I'm pretending that that never happened. So I am going for the career of a Magizoologist, and I am, as I said, pretending that I didn't fail my owls. I'm pretending that I passed with flying colors, so I've picked my TBR based on that. If you're looking for some inspiration for your TBR, you can go ahead and check out the video that I did for the Readathon that is based on books for Hufflepuffs, recommending books for various subjects. Just for Hufflepuffs, but really for anyone who is interested in them. That video is linked down below if you want to take a look. So, in order to pass my exams for the N.E.W.T.s, to become a Magizoologist, my dream career, I would have to get an O in Care of Magical Creatures, an E in Charms, and an E in Herbology. Again, if this doesn't make any sense to you, G's video is linked down below, you can take a look. So that is a total of 7 books, I think. And that's pretty doable. I tend to read, I think on average, if I'm having a good month, about 8 to 10 books a month. So we'll see how this goes. I went ahead and tried to pick a really reasonable TBR for myself because I tend to get really excited for readathons, and then I just pick all the books and then I completely fail. So I've got some books of varying lengths here, and some of the prompts were really helpful for helping me kind of tame my list of books that I'm going to be reading. So I'm going to start with Care of Magical Creatures and work my way through. Some of these prompts are a little bit vague, intentionally, so you can pick kind of whatever you want. So there are a couple when they are super vague, I might actually end up picking something else because I'm such a mood reader. I don't want to feel like I'm married to this TBR and can't read anything else. So we'll see. There's only one prompt that I've not picked a book for yet. What I'm gonna have to do is just go through my Kindle library because it's gonna be for a shorter book, but for the most part, these are all the books that I'm planning on reading in August for the N.E.W.T.s. Starting with Care of Magical Creatures, I am going to be reading a book that starts with A for Aragog, and that is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This is a science fiction book, and apparently it's super weird, and I'm really excited to read this. I bought this because of the film that came out with Natalie Portman, I think it was last year, and it's really good. It's really freaky. If you want to watch it, it's really, really good though. So I wanted to go ahead and read the book that it was based on. And then, of course, I never got around to it. So now is my chance. I'm definitely going to read Annihilation. I have a feeling that this book is one of those weird ones that kind of defies explanation, and I don't know if I could give a particularly good summary until I've actually read it, which I clearly haven't yet. But from the very short thing on the back here, it says that we have a woman, I think it's the biologist, she's not named, but we have a woman who's leading an expedition into an area called Area X, which is this really weird sort of creepy place, and it's kind of sectioned off by the government, and crazy shit's gonna happen in this place. So I am really excited to read this. The movie, as I said, is really, really, really good, and I think that this is gonna be great, and also this is me planning ahead for actually being able to read everything off my TBR. It comes in just under 200 pages, so it's a nice short book too. That was to get an acceptable grade in Care of Magical Creatures. In order to get a exceeds expectations, I'm going to need to read a book that is under 300 pages. And I have been scouring my shelves and I cannot find a book that is under 300 pages that I haven't already read, and it's driving me crazy. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is just go to the Kindle and try to find a novella there, because I don't buy physical copies of novellas because they're so short and I'm just going to blast through them super quick. So I am going to go ahead and take a look at my digital library. I don't know what I'm going to read for this yet. I have a couple of things, so I've got some of the Reluctant Royals novellas from Melissa Cole, who I really like, and I've got a couple of others, and I don't know what I'm going to pick yet. And finally, for Care of Magical Creatures, to get an outstanding grade, you have to read a book with a bird on the cover, and I picked Crowfall by Ed McDonald. This was in my July TBR, and I've decided to hold off because it fits the prompt really well, and it was kind of the most obvious thing for me to pick, so I went ahead and decided to roll this over into August, even though I said it was definitely going to be one of the books that I was for sure gonna read in July. Crowfall is the third book in the Ravensmark trilogy, and it is a kind of grimdark fantasy series. It has a very Western feel to it, and I really, really enjoy these books. They're just like, they're really grim, and I think they're technically grimdark, but they're really like fun, which is a weird thing to say, but I like them so much. I really enjoy the main character, and I like a lot of the side characters as well, and I really want to see how this wraps up. I'm very invested in these books. I often am really bad at finishing series. For whatever reason, I'm just terrible at it, but I would really, really like to finish this. The next subject that I have to tackle is charms. So to get an acceptable grade in charms, you have to read a book that you think has a gorgeous cover. And this was really easy. This is another one off my July TBR that I'm rolling over. It doesn't come out until September, so I'm fine. I'm okay to do that. This is 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. I am completely and totally obsessed with this cover. It's absolutely beautiful. This isn't the final cover, but it's basically the final cover. It's just like, it's so beautiful. And the moment I saw it, I knew it was a book that I really wanted to read. And it sounds like a wonderful story as well. This book follows a girl who is the ward of this very kind of, I think, eccentric and strange, very wealthy man. And she lives in this house that's full of kind of curiosities. And she feels like she's very much one of these curiosities sort of put on a shelf until she finds a door to another world. I'm so excited to read this. This looks like such a beautiful book. It's one of those books that I feel like was written with me in mind. It's one of those that really speaks to me. So this is going to be great. I am very, very happy to be reading this for the readathon. In order to get an exceeds expectations grade in charms, you have to read a comic, graphic novel, or manga, and this was pretty easy. Even though I don't read a lot of any of these things, I am not someone who's particularly drawn to this kind of format, but there are a lot of graphic novels that I have loved in the past, and there's one in particular that I've been wanting to read for a long time, and it is the only graphic novel on my TBR. This is The Thrilling Adventures of Lovelace and Babbage, and this is by Sydney Padua. This graphic novel features Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage in a kind of alternate sort of steampunky universe in which they create an analytical engine, it says here, and use it to fight crime. This sounds really silly and really fun, but it also looks like a really, really well-researched book at the same time. So there are tons and tons of, I don't know if you can see it, but there are lots of footnotes in this, and I believe that the author pulls a lot of the dialogue from like letters and speeches and stuff like that. I bought this for myself for my birthday last year, and I never ended up reading it. So I got it with a Waterstones gift card, which is really the only time I feel like I can kind of justify buying graphic novels, because I usually don't enjoy them as much, and I tend to read them really quickly. I feel like in terms of not enjoying them as much, I don't get the kind of characterization from them, and I don't feel like I get the really well fleshed out stories. With some obvious exceptions, that's not me like trashing graphic novels, but I usually don't invest in them, so the fact that I bought this means that I'm very interested in it, and I'm glad that I finally have a reason to kind of pick it up and pull it off the shelf, because everything on my TBR is something I want to read, but this is one that definitely slipped through the cracks for me. The very last subject that I have to tackle is Herbology, and in order to get an acceptable grade in this subject, I have to read an audiobook. So I have a couple choices for this one, mostly because I have only just started one audiobook, and I might finish it before the month is out. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but I have another one on deck. The one that I'm currently listening to that I'm probably going to read for the readathon is City of Lies by Sam Hawke. I am loving this audiobook so far. I'm only 2 hours in, which means I have about 16 hours to go. But when I get going with an audiobook, I will be doing laps around the building, I will be cleaning the flat, I will be ignoring my husband and my cat family, I get totally obsessed. And the narration in this is really, really good as well. It's a male and female narrator. because the two main characters are a brother and sister. So this is kind of like a fantasy murder mystery. Our main character is he's like the royal poisoner. However, he's the one who does all of the detecting of poisons just in case there's an assassination attempt, because his best friend and the person that he is serving and the family that he is serving are the chancellors and the heir to the kind of government of the city. And a murder happens, and they have to figure out what is going on here, because the poison that was used is something that they have never ever encountered before. This is wonderful. I'm really enjoying this. I really like Sam as like a person, because she's someone that I chat with a little bit on social media, and I've had this book on my shelf since last year, and I believe it's even in my books that I want to read in 2019 video that I did back in December. So now is my chance. I'm finally getting to it. I'm really happy that I am, and the audiobook, as I say, is excellent, but I might finish it before the month ends. So just in case, I have Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Keefe on deck just in case. So this might be the book that I end up reading. So we'll see how it goes, but just in case that I do end up reading this for the N.E.W.T.s, it's a sci-fi book, and it features a character who I believe was in a space battle and ends up waking up on an enemy ship like hundreds of years later. And I know it has sentient spaceships, and I know it actually has another sibling relationship in it. And I really like the narrator for this. He is the same one who did the Age of Assassins audiobook, which I listened to in July and really loved. I think he's a great narrator. So this is another one that I'm very much looking forward to. I'm probably going to read it in August regardless, because I'm very, very excited for the audiobook. Again, I love that narrator, but it's kind of my backup. I'm probably going to end up doing City of Lies instead. And finally, the last book on my TBR is for an Exceeds Expectations grade in Herbology. This is to read a book between 350 and 390 pages, which seems super random, but it's also leaves the door open for so many books. So many books! So I could really pick anything off of my TBR for this, and I might end up meandering from this choice just depending on what my mood is, because this is one of those really open prompts. But I decided to go with Rosewater by Tade Thompson. I've been really interested in this book for a very, very long time, and he just won the Arthur C. Clarke Award for this book. So I figured I would go ahead and pick it up. I actually just bought it over the weekend, and I've heard some mixed things about it. I think it's not a book for everyone, but it sounds like something I'm going to really enjoy. Rosewater is as I said, a book that I think is not for everyone. I think possibly because it's super weird, and I say that it sounds like one I'm going to really enjoy, but the synopsis is completely and totally vague. It's like 2 sentences on the back, which, as you know, I absolutely love, because I like to go into books knowing as little as possible. So what I do know is that this is a science fiction book that takes place in Nigeria in 2066, and I believe Rosewater is like a town that kind of springs up around this alien biome. That's pretty much all I know about it, and it is, I think, exactly 390 pages. So this fits the prompt perfectly. Again, it depends on my mood at the time. I am kind of leaving my science fiction phase of reading, and now I feel like, especially with YALC coming up, I am probably going to be devouring a lot of YA and a lot of fantasy soon. So we will see if I stick with this, but regardless, it is a book that I very, very much want to read. That is it for my N.E.W.T.s TBR. I am very excited to do this readathon. I am very excited to do this readathon right, because the very first time I tried it, I did the thing, as I mentioned before, where I just kind of go, and pick a ton of things. And I think I had like 20 books on my TBR, and I read 2 of them because I just panicked. I failed my owls. This is my chance to redeem myself. I'm finally going to do this readathon, and I'm going to do it right. I'm also planning on vlogging this readathon, so hopefully, fingers crossed, if I remember, because I'm terrible at remembering this, I am going to be vlogging throughout the month of August, and you'll be able to see my reading progress. And if this is something that you are going to do as well, let me know, because I would love to watch your vlogs too. I want to get really involved in this readathon. In the comments below, let me know if you have read any of these books, or if you have built a TBR for the N.E.W.T.s readathon yourself. If you're doing a similar career, a different career, I would love to hear from you. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.